Have you ever gotten so far along on a project that you started to think it was so bad that there was no way you could possibly release it? No? Just me? Okay. A couple years ago, I made a short film called 526. It was my first attempt to do a dark comedy, and I must reiterate, attempt. It was also the fastest turnaround for a film project I've ever pulled off to this day. From the time I started writing the script to the time the film actually came out was about 6 weeks. And we shot it in one entire day. We couldn't have a large cast or crew because this was during the pandemic, so it was just me directing and making a cameo, with Dylan Listener and Brandon Dale as the main characters. The film was supposed to serve as a proof of concept. Ideally, I would use this film to pitch it as a TV show like Breaking Bad, but that's a story for another day. As I said, we shot this all in one day, and that was because I wanted to see if I could do it. But that actually proved to be somewhat of a detriment. I knew Brandon and Dylan would be great as the leads, and would finally give me the chance to be behind the camera and help them perform exactly as I wanted them to. Which was the first downside. The performances weren't what I were hoping they would be. Now let me be clear, when I'm talking about the performances I got versus the performances I wanted, it's entirely my fault, okay? Entirely my fault. That's not to say the performances were bad, they served the film adequately. So once again, it's entirely my fault, okay? Brandon, Dylan, I loves ya. It's not you, it's me. One aspect of the film that didn't quite work was the comedy, in that it didn't feel like a comedy. The idea was that Tristan, Dylan's character, was doing all these crazy things while being obsessed with vlogging. And Jake, Brandon's character, was the straight man, reacting to the craziness around him, like Marty McFly or Peter Venkman. But as you might have guessed, it didn't really work. And in my opinion, the main reason for that was the tone of voice. For instance, in this scene in the living room, Tristan is trying to drag Jake around to help him out with the vlog. Jake isn't really interested in helping them, and Brandon says,
"Man, I haven't got any sleep today, and I was wondering..."
Where I was actually looking for something like this.
"I don't feel like doing this today. I just ate. I'm asking you nicely."
This.
"How long is this gonna take? Can we just hurry this up? I got work here soon."
But more like,
"Just please get out of my bathroom, okay? I have to go to work."
Brandon's delivery is more lethargic and sluggish, as opposed to annoyed and dreadful, which was a little bit more what I was going for. Now you might be asking, why didn't you just tell him to deliver the line that way, or the way that you specifically wanted it to? I.e., me, the director, say the line to Brandon exactly as I wanted the line to be said on film. Well, there's a big rule when it comes to directing, and that is not to give line reads, where you tell the actor, do it more like this, and then you say the line exactly as you want it to be said. It only expresses a lack of faith you have in the actors you've chosen to play these parts. Now, to be fair, these rules generally apply to professional actors, and Brandon and Dylan are not professional actors, but if my goal is to be a film director, I think it's good to start acting like one. It also would have been good to do more takes as well. I felt Dylan's delivery, though great, and we'll talk about that in a sec, could have had a little bit more variety. He was either loud or kind of soft. And I think a little bit more variety, not only in the performance but also the writing, could have added a lot to his character. On average, we would do about 2 or 3 takes, with the exception of this living room scene, where we had some pretty funny outtakes.
"Till dawn, making content, 21 hours of sleep."
The best way to articulate my point better would be to improve my communication skills, and by doing more than one take. Dylan even suggested showing the clips you saw earlier. It also would have helped if we got together prior to the shoot and actually did some kind of rehearsal. But when the day was over, we were driving back to my place, I thought to myself, shit, I might not have a finished film here. I might have to cut this into a trailer, or just throw it out entirely. I sat on it for about a week and I said, you know what? Maybe I can make this work. And if it turns out to be a failure anyway, well, at least I have a finished failure. As filmmakers, we've worked on tons of projects that have fallen through and will never see the light of day. Which, now that I think about it, that could be its own series of videos, because there is a lot to say. So if this project ended up being a failure, at least it would be a finished failure. Sure, it didn't turn out exactly as I had hoped. It certainly wasn't a comedy. Instead, it was more of a tragedy, which was always part of the film, but it overshadowed the intended humor. So the results are... I'll let you decide. I encourage you to check it out. I'll leave a link in the description and at the end of this video. I still hear from friends and friends of friends telling me how much they enjoyed the film and how they marvel at Dylan's performance. I learned a lot from making this film, and considering we shot it all in one day, I don't think it's bad. And it definitely shows that you can pull off something that entertains others in a relatively short amount of time. Though if I were to do something like this again, I would probably stick to 2 or 3 locations, as we were running around quite a bit. But that's it, guys. If you want to check out 526, you can do so right now. And you can follow me on all my social media, and I'll see you next time.